On Tuesday of this week, Danny Briere held his mid-season press conference, and he was asked about the team's search for high-end centers. It's a conversation that die-hard Flyers fans have been having for almost 2 years now, and Danny's most recent quotes stoked the embers that just won't seem to die out.
What I can tell you on that is we've tried, and we're trying, and we're looking at, what's out there. The reality is, there's not a lot of high-end centermen in this league, and when teams have them, they want to keep them, or the price is crazy. We're not willing to give up on our future at this point. Yes, I realize that it's a glaring need that we'd like to upgrade, but it has to make sense. The reality is, if we force something, after 2 weeks we can't press undo and start from scratch again. So we got to be sure before we make a move. But believe me, we're trying. We're looking at everything that is out there, that is available, and see. We're even asking questions on some guys that aren't available, just to check in and to make sure.
The Doomers hear this and say, "See, your plan doesn't make any sense because you're admitting that it's hard to get them. So how are you going to get one?" Personally, I don't have a lot of time for the Flyers' doomers and pessimists at this point in the rebuild. So let me offer you a different perspective on Danny's quotes from Tuesday. For me, it's becoming clearer and clearer that the most likely way that Danny ends up acquiring this 1C that we need is by trading for one. There's 3 paths to getting a player in the NHL. It's this simple. You draft them, you sign them as a free agent, or you trade for them. So let's look at those 3 paths and Danny's rebuild plan for the Flyers. The Flyers are rebuilding, but they refuse to tank on purpose and get a good shot at a top 5 pick.
I'd like to have a few more wins, obviously.
Maybe they get lucky with a lottery ball or an accidental tank because of bad goaltending, but this feels like the least likely path to getting a 1C. A lot of fans dismiss this path because superstar 1Cs rarely go to free agency, which is true. But there's a real possibility this trend changes. There's talk of a $97 million salary cap next year and a $105 million cap the year after that. On top of that, we might get a new CBA agreed on this year, which might bring down the max contract length from 7 or 8 years down to something like 5 years. Add all that up, and there's a legit possibility that players and their agents start considering free agency more than ever before. And it just so happens that the Flyers' cap situation really opens up at the same time that this new CBA could take effect. Not to mention that the cap might be $15, maybe $17 million higher than it is right now. This could become a very real path to getting a star first-line center that this team needs. Fans dismiss this one about as quick as the free agency path. Everyone says, well, when's the last time a legit 1C got traded? It's pretty much just Jack Eichel, and that was because of his neck injury. And that's fair. Even Danny said,
there's not a lot of high-end centermen in this league, and when teams have them, they want to keep them, or the price is crazy.
But we're ignoring something in this statement. You can get them, you just have to pay a crazy price. High-end players are in actual trade rumors pretty often, not just made-up stuff. Sure, they rarely get traded, but they do hit the trade block. And Danny's been doing his homework.
We're even asking questions on some guys that aren't available, just to check in and to make sure.
Think about the Elias Pettersson situation right now. He was in trade rumors last year, and he's back in them right now. That's a star 1C who is on the trade block. Even his GM has a quote on record saying, "Is it a trade possible? I guess I would say anything is possible." Where do the Flyers fit in as a trade partner? They ain't a fit. All corners of Flyers fans have been throwing out trade proposals, and the truth is, we all realize that we don't have the roster players to give up in a trade for Pettersson. Not when you compare our roster players to teams who are legitimately in the mix for Pettersson. So does that mean Danny's rebuild won't work, or that he'll never be able to get a first-line center? No. It just means we don't have the assets right now. But if we keep developing our young players, and they're learning good structure and good habits, and they don't complain about ice time or being scratched, whether we think it's outdated or stupid, other GMs, other organizations, they do value that stuff. So the next time someone like Pettersson becomes available, Danny will have more than a handful of players to put in a trade package, and it won't break the back of the roster. I know we all want a star 1C right now so we can staple him and Michkov together and off we go. But we can wait, and it's probably smarter if we do wait. In the meantime, Danny can keep trying and
asking questions on some guys that aren't available, just to check in and to make sure.